Now, joining me on the news at 10 to discuss the clash between the Shiite sect and soldiers is retired Colonel Yomi Dari. You're welcome to the news at 10, Colonel Dari.
Thanks, Linda.
Now, you basically heard the spokesperson of the Shiite group, and he basically believes that the group did nothing wrong in stopping the convoy of the Chief of Army Staff. Do you agree with this?
I do not agree, because this is laughable. It's laughable. I mean, there are two sides to the story. Obviously, everyone would like to say the story that suits their circumstance. And then, in this case, I think he's doing exactly that. It is very laughable. I don't think so.
Now, they claimed that hundreds of their members were killed in the clash. Could this clash have been handled differently by the soldiers?
Well, in the circumstance, I think there's a video that's running viral now, and it all showed how the Chief of Army Staff's convoy came upon the roadblock. It was like what I saw, like a mob action. And I think a lot of entreaties were made to the group, even the colonel, the army spokesperson, and I saw a general, trying to talk to them, to appease them, to just let the convoy pass. And then it was a stone wall. In that case, I think the best they can do is just to charge through, and then maybe in the course of that, shots were fired, and in the circumstance, rules of engagement, they have to reply.
But this rules of engagement, this involves civilians. Couldn't this have been handled in a way, in a manner where we wouldn't see this high number of casualties on the side of the members of the sect?
I don't know what you mean by high casualty.
Because they're saying hundreds of your members were killed.
I don't think that is true, because even the media, I don't think the media has reported that. And these are human beings. So where are the cops?
But even if we had one or two people killed, lives were lost.
Yes.
Could this not have been handled in a manner where we wouldn't see at least any casualty at all?
You see, in my own view, my own opinion is that things like this should not be allowed to happen, because this was how the Boko Haram started. So this has to be nipped in the bud. And if you look at even the person of the Chief of Army Staff, I don't think he's given to frivolities, because it's antecedents. Here's a general who wants to lead his men, and he's right there in the front, And I think we must be very, very careful in the way we orchestrate these stories, so that because the army right now, more than ever before, needs the support of everyone, because this is like a distraction. We have the Boko Haram thing at hand, and I think we should just face that squarely. I mean, militarism should not be allowed in any form. I mean, everybody has come out to condemn militarism in religion. I don't think any religion anywhere, supports militarism. And I see no reason, because everyone saw people carrying cutlass, bows, cudgels, and all sorts of things. You think if that machete, the cutlass, is applied on someone, it's a weapon. It's a weapon. It's not only guns that are weapons.
And the Chief of Army Staff said that his men acted within the law. Does the law permit killing of fellow citizens?
Fellow citizen, it depends. Because this is an act of criminalism. So when a criminal act is perpetrated, I mean, you don't say, it's like a thief.
But who determines what is a criminal act in this case?
In this case?
In this case, yes.
Well, the commander on the ground. The commander on the ground, So they were there. You and I were not there. But even though we are able to even see some of the video clips, okay? God forbid, the military is the last bastion of our democracy. And should anything happen to the person of the Chief of Army Staff, then how do we go forward? That's taking us miles back, especially in this war against terrorism.
So final, how do we prevent a recurrence of this kind of incident that happened?
In my opinion, the best way to prevent this is that people should respect boundaries, okay? This is a federal highway. People should not just take laws into their hands. Suppose every other person in the course of their religion now gets on the way and start blocking roads. You and I will not have a place to put our feet. So the best way is for people, religious leaders, whether you are Christian, whether you are Muslim, whether you are from this sect or the other sect, they should be educated, okay?
All right.
So that they should act within the confines or limits of the law. If they do this in their compound, nobody's going to disturb them. But once you get out of the precinct of your own compound and you are even on the federal highway, that is criminality.
Kanu Yomidare, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, a federal high court in Abuja has released the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, on bail unconditionally. Justice Adini Ademola admitted him to bail while ruling in an application filed and argued by his lawyer, Mr. Vincent Obeta. In the ruling, Justice Ademola, who had last month granted permission to the Department of State Service to detain Mr. Kanu for 90 days, set aside the order. According to him, the continued detention of Mr. Kanu after 2 months without trial violates Section 158 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 and Section 35 of the 1999 Constitution. Justice Ademola also said that there was no law that permits the DSS or any other security agency to detain any Nigerian beyond 2 months, when in fact there was no intention to put the person on trial. Now, that's all from the Federal Capital Territory. Back to you, Ijoma.
Thanks a lot, Linda. And now we move away from judicial matters. The loot recovered from the late head of state, General Sani Abacha, now stands at $26.4 million and £19 million as at November. The Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, disclosed this to State House correspondents at the end of the National Economic Council meeting, presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. He said the figure was disclosed by the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, during a presentation he made to the Council. Also speaking after the meeting, the Minister of National Planning, Udo Udoma, urged states to adopt the medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper, which has now been approved by the National Assembly.
As of November 2015, ending as a balance of $26,389, while the pound sterling has a balance of £19,033,000.
The Lagos State Governor, Akinwumi Ambode, today presented a budget proposal of 662.588 billion naira for 2016 to the State House of Assembly. While promising full implementation of the budget, Governor Ambode says the budget will be targeted at massive investment in security, transport and traffic management. It will also target physical and social infrastructure as well as job creation.
Governor Akinwumi Ambode makes his way into the main chamber of the Lagos State House of Assembly complex, where members are seated to receive the 2016 budget estimate. Among the audience are members of the State Executive Council, former members of the State House of Assembly, traditional rulers, senior citizens of the state, and members of the diplomatic corps.
The blessing should be
straight to the business of the day. Governor Ambode presents what he christens the People's Budget, estimated at 662.588 billion naira.
We have proposed a budget of 662.588 billion naira for the 2016 fiscal year. This represents an improvement of 26% over the budgets of 2014 and 2015 respectively, which stood at 489.6 billion.
The budget has recurrent expenditure pegged at 278.909 billion naira, while capital expenditure stands at 383.678 billion naira. Further breakdown shows that priority will be given to economic affairs, general public services and education, Governor Nnamdi says implementation of the budget will focus on security, transport, environment, health, education, roads, agriculture and food security, as well as job creation.
We plan to use the 2016 budget to strategically build new infrastructure, while we continue to maintain existing ones. Wealth and employment creation will receive a lot of attention as we commence the implementation of the Employment Trust Scheme, which will set aside 25 billion naira over a 4-year period for job creation.
Just as he receives the hard copy of the proposed budget from the governor, the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly promises speedy deliberation on the appropriation bill that will be acceptable and represent the well-being of the people.
Now we're staying with our story on the Lagos State budget proposal presented today. And joining me now is the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Mr. Akinyemi Ashade. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you, Gemma, for having me.
Now we heard the Governor there addressing the Assembly, but looking at the breakdown that I have here of the figures, not much or nothing seems to be allocated to security. Is that intentional? Because from the list it says security is a priority. So why is that?
Thank you, Gemma. I would like to reiterate the focus of the budget, which is on security, transport and traffic management, and wealth creation. Security falls under public safety and order, and that's we have about 4% allocated under the current budget.
4.31, yeah.
And that is directly. You will quite agree with me that the challenges that we face in Lagos are quite different from the challenges we faced in the past. We have traffic gridlock to deal with. We have issue of security, like you've mentioned, and directly we've allocated 4%. Indirectly, as we fix the roads, we make the road more travel. This will reduce the incident of traffic robbery, and indirectly we are addressing security as well under transportation, which is under economic affairs.
Right, the largest chunk of the budget went to general public services. Throw more light on that, and what does that imply?
I would like to correct you. The largest chunk is not under general public service. The largest chunk is under economic affairs, and that is about 32%. So, and under that economic affairs, we have things like transportation, commerce and industry, agriculture. That's where we have others. And if you look at road infrastructural development, including transportation and resolution of traffic gridlock, it also falls under economic affairs. So the largest chunk is under economic affairs and not general service, as you mentioned.
So what would general services then be?
You know that Lagos State is the largest employer of labor in this state. We have over 100,000 employees in the service, and we need to pay their salaries. We also need to resolve pensions, obligations. Those are the things that we set out to do so that we can make Lagos better for all.
All right, Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Mr. Akinyemi Ashade, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10 tonight.
You're welcome.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has set aside January the 9th as the date for the rescheduled election in Southern Ijaw, Bayelsa State. The new date was announced today after consultations with leaders of political parties who fielded candidates in the last election and also with the candidates themselves. They also agreed to decentralize the distribution of sensitive election materials while calling on the security agencies to be neutral. INEC on Monday, December the 7th, cancelled the election in Southern Ijaw following widespread violence, ballot box snatching and abduction of electoral officials. Well, the appeal court sitting in Ibadan has affirmed the ruling of the Oyo State Governorship Election Tribunal, which upheld the election of Mr. Abiola Ajimobi of the All Progressives Party as the state governor. The election tribunal had earlier thrown out the petition of the Accord Party candidate, Mr. Rashidi Ladoja, on the ground that the principal witness who inspected election materials was not qualified to do so and held that his evidence was not reliable. The court therefore dismissed the appeal instituted by the former governor, saying the tribunal was right in its submission. Reacting to the judgment, Governor Ajimobi expressed gratitude to the people of the state and extended an olive branch to his opponent, asking him to join in developing the state instead of wasting time and resources at the courts.